Who are you?
My name is Yuka Ohishi. I live in Brooklyn, New York. I am a full-time tech YouTuber, digital creator since about 2 years ago.
Can you tell us a little bit about your neighborhood, where you live?
Yes, I live in, I guess this area is East Williamsburg, and it is a pretty diverse area. Not yet very gentrified as much as some other parts of Brooklyn. I see a lot of different cultures here. Not much Asian cultures, but more like Puerto Rican and other cultures like mixed in with, American culture.
Can you tell us a little more about what you do?
So I make a lot of content about tech and creativity. My mission has always been about inspiring people to be more creative using technology. So I love cameras, computers, like software that allows people to create easily. So I do tutorials or gadget reviews and things like that, but my goal is for people to kind of remember when they were when they were children, when being creative wasn't a scary thing. And as adults, I think a lot of people think expressing themselves and being creative is a little bit scary, scared of other people's judgment, or scared of messing up. So I want to help people kind of overcome that and realize how fun and exciting it is to be able to create digitally or in analog.
So, what is the happiest memory of your life?
I think finding my partner, who you just met, but he is my biggest supporter, and he encourages me to do what I love and keep going. And so kind of like having him as my life partner has been one of the greatest things that happened in my life. So I guess if you put it in like my happiest memory would be our wedding, maybe. Just kind of celebrating our love and kind of promising to be there for each other for the rest of our lives.
What is the saddest memory of your life?
Yeah, so when I was 8 or 9, I lost my grandfather, and our family, my parents, my siblings, we lived in the US, and most of our relatives lived in Japan. So we couldn't really be there for the whole time, and so we just kind of flew back for the funeral. I saw my dad cry for the first time, so it was kind of a sad and kind of like a awakening moment as a child that life isn't forever. And I think I just kind of fed off the energy, like the sad energy of my dad, who is very, he's not very emotional as many Asian male parents maybe. So it was kind of a shocking memory, and I was really sad that I couldn't see my grandfather anymore. And after that, I've lost, more of my grandparents, and I feel sad that they can't be here with me to share the more memories and more happiness that I've gone through and wanted to share with them.
When you were young, what did you think of yourself?
I think, so I grew up in the States, and when I was little, I lived in Kentucky, where there wasn't a lot of diversity. Me and some other, there may be like just a handful of other Asian kids at my school, and I just remember feeling very different and not knowing why, because it wasn't really a topic or anything that was discussed. And even though there wasn't like a massive racist memory, it was just kind of like in the air, and I could feel that I was different. So when I was at my school, like my normal English-speaking local school, I felt really shy and kind of reserved. Whereas when I went to Japanese school over the weekend, I felt more like I was an outgoing and more talkative person. So it was kind of a weird two sides of me, even though I was the same person and lived in the same place, but depending on what language and what community I was in, I felt like I had different personalities.
Okay. Do you remember what kind of dream you had when you were young?
At the time, I didn't really know that there was a lot more creative career paths out there. I thought that the most successful way to live was to go to a good college and go to a nice company that pays well and like advance in that like career ladder. And I kind of had that image since I was like in kindergarten. Like it was very early on that I had that mindset, which is kind of weird now that I think about it. But I think it's partially because my parents were, or my dad was, he was like a Japanese business person who worked in Japan and worked in the U.S. and I thought his like following his footsteps is the right way forward. So that's what it wasn't really my dream, but I just imagined that would be how life would be. So I didn't imagine that I would become a full-time YouTuber at all.
Has there been a time that you were angry at yourself, and what was the reason, and how did you overcome?
So when I was first out of college, I was in Japan and I started working at this tech company, which I don't think I fit into the culture very well, and I wasn't really happy at the job, and that made me very anxious and sad and angry all the time, and I really didn't know how to kind of process my feelings or seek help. So it was like a lot of frustration and being angry at myself and people around me all the time. And I just had to kind of get out of that environment to get out of that mindset. So, it's really scary to change your environment, even if you are not happy there. Change is really scary anytime. So that was kind of like what was stopping me, and I was mad at myself for, not taking that step, and it was kind of like a really bad cycle. So I just had to kind of break that chain of thought and start looking for more opportunities and ways that I could change myself and my environment so that I could be happier.
How did you get to know BTS at first?
So I think the first time I ever saw them was when I was scrolling down YouTube and saw the UN speech thumbnail, like a very popular video on YouTube that was recommended to me. And I kind of acknowledged that it was there, but I didn't click on it, which was one of the biggest mistakes because I wish I could have got into them then. But, and so I knew about BTS, I knew kind of what they looked like, but I never heard their songs, I didn't see their video then. And then in 2020, I heard Dynamite, and I really liked the song. Didn't know it was by BTS until a while, and then I realized it was BTS, so I watched their music video over and over again, wanted to know their names, started Googling, and then went down the rabbit hole.
has there been a specific moment for you to realize that, or it also grew just gradually?
Yeah, so another really interesting point that I was drawn to at first was armies. And in 2020, how BTS donated to Black Lives Matter, and armies matched their $1 million donation like the next day. And I saw that news, and I was so surprised that they like these like fans that are scattered all over the world could be so organized. And so that was kind of like a really big surprise, and I wanted to know more about armies and why they are so effective and organized. And I think that was another path that I kind of did research of BTS on, like how they were treated in the beginning by the industry. Even now in the US, I feel like they don't get a fair treatment all the time. And so I kind of learned about that aspect of BTS and armies. And then I just kind of realized how both BTS and ARMY have this, what is it called? Like virtue of being true to yourself, being authentic, and just doing the right thing, whether that's about like like not just about donations, but about like speaking up for yourself, and that kind of transcends into their music as well. So I kind of like it all tied together, and I think so. I heard Dynamite for the first time maybe like in August, and I was a full-on ARMY in like October, November. So that was kind of like my research period for a couple months, and I was fully immersed.
So do you think like BTS and ARMY has kind of impacted your life in very significant way?
I think it's somewhat an expansion, but it was a pretty significant one, I think, because I am also, as a content creator, I have a community of my own. I interact with my fans and my community, but I have always been, I think there was kind of like it's scary to be yourself online all the time and be super, super authentic, even though I try to be. And BTS, even though they are the biggest celebrity in the world, they are so raw and so authentic in front of their fans. And that just like really shocked me and inspired me to be more vulnerable in front of people who want to support me, or who even like look up to me, because there's like younger fans that want to like get inspired from what I do. So I really learned a lot from how BTS interacts with ARMY, and I try to model that authenticity and vulnerability from them.
What is your number one BTS song?
I think it's Microcosmos, because it's just such a beautiful song. The melody line is amazing, but it's also, every time I hear it, it reminds me of how BTS and ARMYs are connected wherever they are, and it's like we are the universe, and we are connected with each other. So.
And what are your dreams now?
So as I mentioned before, I think my mission in life is always to be able to inspire people to be more creative. So right now I'm doing that through making videos on YouTube or making content on other platforms. But I think that will, the mediums or the platform will always change. But no matter how that changes, I think my North Star is always to inspire people.
If you meet BTS in person, what would you like to say to them?
I want to tell them how they have impacted my life in many different ways. Whether that's like feeling more proud of being like Asian in the U.S. or just kind of what we just talked about like being more authentic and vulnerable, and to love myself more. Yeah, those kind of things, I guess.